Good evening, folks. Today we are going to play Kerbal Space Program, but unlike the only two other videos I have on my channel, this is going to be in RP1. As you can see, we have Earth in the background here, not Kerbin. And we're going to go ahead and start a new game. I have heard that Moderate is supposed to be the one you're playing on. That looks good, I think, from what I remember. And the gimmick for this game is that we are going to be the New Zealand Space Agency. Don't know why, I don't know much about New Zealand, but that's the gimmick here. Even got a flag here. So, that looks good. We're gonna go ahead and start. Like I said, I already had a game, but I had complications starting it up. And I wasted 2 years trying to make the first rocket work, so yeah. So my experience with Kerbal Space Program, at least at the start of this, is I'm not an expert really. I've gotten to Eve, maybe Duna. Can't really return missions from the outer solar system, but let's accept that. Yep, okay. Thanks, Gene. I don't need you here. And we're gonna go ahead and go to the tracking station. Anyway, like I was saying, I know a little bit about normal Kerbal Space Program, but my experience with RP1 is extremely limited, so we're kind of going into this whole thing blind. Yep, let's select New Zealand. My computer should be able to handle this, but you never know. Gotta wait for it to pop in. Alright, so I think the first thing we're gonna be doing is we're gonna put a point into the VAB. And the starting funds are not as high as with the other. Okay, so first launch. Oh, that expires after 1 day, so we're not gonna want to get that yet. Alright, fair enough. We're gonna go ahead and grab that after we build the rocket. So, our first rocket, I think I know enough now, flashbacks to my previous saves. I think I know enough now about how things are done that I should be able to build a rocket of some sort. Alright. So we're gonna go ahead and grab a Whack Corporal core. There it is. And I like the sort of V2 swept bullet-shaped design. Not bullet-shaped, kind of bullet-shaped. Let's go with bullet-shaped. Alright. So the one thing on my last save that I wasted 2 years only to figure out is that I need to pressurize my tanks before I slap engines onto them. But hopefully that can be avoided now. Let's change this to a smooth cone. Slap an arrow bee on that. Get a decoupler here. And to prevent foliage. I think we need to put a booster on here from the videos I've seen. Looks good. Let's add a launch clamp here. Alright, let's put a nose. Actually, we could just put another fuel tank on here for the nose cone. Smooth. We're gonna go for smooth cone again. Oh, the curve. That's an important thing. Let's fix that, make this look better. Peaked. I think that's the one we want. That one's also a little weird. Yeah, we're gonna go for peaked. That looks pretty good. Get this nose cone. That looks pretty good. Make it a bit sharper. Alright, high pressure, high pressure, high pressure. Get the right type of fuel inside. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, so we're back. I'm gonna say this thing is pretty done. And let's come up with a name. Give me a second. I have an idea. It's a little bit stereotypical, but what do you think about first when somebody says New Zealand? Lord of the Rings, pretty much. That's it. So we're gonna go ahead and call this Bilbo 1, since he was the one who started it all in The Hobbit. And let's go ahead and add this to the build list. Yeah, okay. So with RP1, it takes time to build everything like in real life. So I think it said 105 days to build a rocket, which is, yeah, that's fair. Alright, back at the station. Our Bilbo 1. We're gonna warp until that's complete. Alright. Click in on the launch pad. Rolling it out costs money and time as well. So we're rolling that out to the launch pad. And it's ready to go. So we're going to go and get this first launch contract. And gonna go ahead and launch Bilbo 1. So ooh, I forgot. It doesn't matter for our first one. So the thing about the first rockets, the first sounding rockets is, well, one, they're kind of boring, but this is the starting stage, so you kind of have to do it. But also, you can't control them at all. It's only the wings, and usually what I should have remembered to do is to slant these a little bit towards the side, and that way they would provide spin stabilization. I didn't do that, but here we are. Check my staging. Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, the launch of Bilbo 1 for the glorious New Zealand Space Agency in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Yeah, so here you can tell, since I didn't spin stabilize it, it's just going off in a random direction since, yeah, we can't turn on SAS or RCS. But hey, that's a pretty good missile design, I think. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and range safety this so it doesn't crash. And head back to the Space Center. Alright, that looked pretty good. Let's clean up those debris. And we have... Yep, first launch is done. Uncrewed speed record. Wasn't even aiming for that. Alright, so milestones, carbon line. Alright. We can do that. And we have our first sounding rocket contracts. Reach 55 kilometers with a sounding rocket. That should be doable. 180 days. That should be long enough to build a rocket. X-planes, I don't know how much I'm gonna mess with those, but we could eventually. So let's go ahead and go back to our vehicle assembly building. Actually, other thing, let me fire all of the unnecessary astronauts because they cost money. Believe it or not, people want to be paid, but New Zealand doesn't have time for that. We have to colonize space for the glory of New Zealand. Okay. So for Bilbo 2, it needs to get, yeah, carbon line, so it's 100 kilometers and 55 kilometers, which should be possible. A rocket is a little bit wider than it could be. Let's also see if we can tweak the wings here. They don't need to be that big. Alright, there you go. Okay, now this time let's put in some actual science so we don't forget that. We're gonna go ahead and stick a barometer on there. And a thermometer. That looks good. Film cameras are ginormous, so we can't use those yet, and the biological samples, let's not deal with it at the moment. But anyway, we can get some more science from this, which is the goal. And that thrust to weight ratio looks alright, I guess. So the Bilbo 2, I believe, let's see if we can't tool these, because we have the money to do that. So those tanks are tooled. Let's tool the nose cone. There we go. Right, and so let's save Bilbo 2 and add that to the launch list. And the farthest I've seen like even in YouTube videos on RP1 is somebody getting to orbit. So once we get there, I have pretty much literally no idea what I'm doing. But that's the fun of this. Maybe it's not fun. It's just suffering. But we'll get there when we get there. So we have our rocket recondition the launch pad. That's another thing that needs to be done. And warp until our rocket is built. There we go. Roll it out to the launch pad. And launch this. Before I do that, let's go ahead and spend 20,000 for an extra point, and we're gonna head and stick that in R&D. Excuse me. We're gonna go ahead and stick that in R&D because we're gonna start research after Bilbo 1 launches. That looks good. Let's go ahead and launch. You know what I just forgot again? I forgot to the wings. Okay, let's. I'm clearly not qualified to run a space agency. Alright. Yeah, just a little bit of a twist. That'll get the rocket spinning so it doesn't fall over on its side again. And the Bilbo 2 looks good. Let's see if we had... Failure rate has gone down, which is pretty alright. Rated bird time is something I haven't looked at yet. 47 seconds. 2 minutes. Well, I don't care. Let's go ahead and save this. Add it to the build list. I think it was 180 days, so 70 plus 70, we've got a little bit of time. Let's check that just to make sure. There we go. Yeah, 101, so we're gonna have 30 days left. That's hopefully gonna be fine. Alright. Let's warp until this completes. Now we're gonna go ahead and roll this out onto the launch pad, warp until that's done. Let's go ahead and time warp a little bit till morning. And go ahead and launch. Alright. This is the launch of Bilbo 2 for the glory of the New Zealand Space Agency. 3, 2, 1. I don't think this is going to get high enough. Clearly I need more spin. I'm not qualified for any of this. Ah, there we go. Yeah, that's not good either. So we need even more spin than I applied. That's a bummer. We're gonna lose that first contract now. But maybe we can get some science out of this. Vapor and feed lines, and impact with the ocean. Alright. So that was a bit of a pain. I don't think the first contract was setting us up to lose a whole lot, but that is a bummer. We're gonna have to... Yeah, that's 21 days. We can't build a rocket that fast. Alright. There's a bit of reputation and funds, but we have still a bunch in the bank, so hopefully that's going to be fine. Okay. I'll join you on the launch pad once I've fixed the rocket. Okay, it's been a little bit of a bumpy road, but we are here. Let's go ahead and actually fix the staging there. Alright. This is the launch of Bilbo 3 for the glory of the New Zealand space program. Let's hit launch. 3, 2, 1. There we go. That's a nice spin. At least the other launches got us some data on the engine, so it doesn't fail as much. Whoop. It shut down. Oh boy. Well, that's gonna crash somewhere. See if we can get a bit of data out of this. Doesn't have comms, apparently. Okay. Let's go ahead and range safety this, because I don't want to wait until it hits the ground. Well, that's been our first couple of failures. I'm gonna go ahead and take a break and come back later. See you guys later.